أبان الذي في السماوات ليتكاد
Let's take a look at this real quick.
Bring it up, it's over. Bring it up, it'll be over.
Okay. Can you calm down?
Right, let's just take a break. Just take a break.
Therefore, the Islamic dilemma, which is on the table, has not been established.
My friend, if the
Now, like real quick, right off the bat, starting with the Islamic dilemma, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like it's talked about a lot. I do think that it's the kill shot for Islam. Now, the Muslims obviously are tired of it. They don't want to talk about it anymore. Whether they think that they have a coherent response to it, I mean, that is to be determined by people in the audience or people that are listening. But like I do think that it is very effective in the aspect of in the aspect of showing why Islam is false. Now, and obviously, like for those of you guys who don't know, the Islamic dilemma posits that if the Quran points to the Bible, but the Bible is corrupt, then the Quran is false. But if the Quran points to the Bible, showing that the Bible is false or something like that, then the Quran is still false. Or if it's true, it's the opposite. So if the Quran points to the Bible, believing the Bible to be false, then the Quran is false. Islam is false because it is confirming a corrupted text. But if the Quran points to the Bible and the Bible is true, then Islam is still false because then the Bible is true, proving Islam to be false. So that's the Islamic dilemma. And there's a plethora of verses that people use for it. Now, obviously, like my buddy Bear the Image, he uses a really good argument. It's really clean, cut, straightforward. Essentially, it's just, okay, well, there's no continuity. Now, obviously, that's the Islamic dilemma, but it's really more so, okay, if you're saying that the Bible is corrupt, okay, well, then even if you show like, oh, contradictory, well, you don't have the original, so you can't show me what it should have said. Furthermore, your book is pointing to people in our book, is confirming scriptures, stories, things like that. So that's going to be a problem. And sorry, guys, if you hear some thunder in my background. Got some rainstorms going on. So let's kind of like get into this and kind of see where Sam goes with this.
Bible scholars are right, the Quran is a lie.
Psalms 91 says he will be raised up. What do the Muslims believe? That he was saved by being taken up.
Forgive me for assuming that
jump
you're a
forward a
Muslim
little
with the
bit.
Quran. Forgive me.
Now we're going
No, you're in the same passage because you're saying it doesn't, yes, because it assumes prior knowledge. That prior knowledge is
teach the lesson. You don't need a name. That's not true.
Yes, you do if you're appealing to the people at that time, because it says the children of Israel. Where do you find that command given to the children of Israel? Surah 5:32.
Oh, here we go. Now we're going.
No, you're in the same passage because you're saying it doesn't, yes, because it assumes prior knowledge. That prior knowledge is the Bible. So your Quran depends on the Bible. So it makes
That's a really good point right there. I'm gonna tease it out a little bit. What's really interesting about this, and like, bro, like I've been saying this for years. Like, so for instance, in the Quran, it talks about a lot of things. It says that Jesus is the Messiah. It seems to have like an idea of the Ahl Kitab, the people of the book. It seems to have some type of knowledge of Torah or Injil. It seems to have a lot of information of the hikayat, of the stories of the previous people, of the Christians and the Jews. And it's almost like it tells it in a way where it's like the people would have already known. So like, for instance, like a really good example is that the Quran says that Isa is the Messiah. Okay, but it never tells us what that means. Now, obviously, like the Muslims will be, well, you know, if you go to the Bible and it says that he will be called the Messiah, for he will save the people from his sins, or, you know, here comes the Lamb of God who takes the sins. I mean, yeah, like we can go to the Bible and show you what it meant for Jesus to be the Messiah and the fulfillment of it. But then the question just becomes, okay, well, you know, how do you know that those verses weren't just corrupted to say it, right? Because that's what they always default to. So then that's going to be the actual problem. So it's like, if you don't have a way to, if you don't have a way to substantiate what is true, while at the same time your book seems to already have this vast knowledge of these previous scriptures and what they mean, then that becomes really detrimental to you as a Muslim. So let's kind of see where Sam goes with this. I'm curious.
My case. Because when I ask you in Surah 532, where is that command found that was given to the children of Israel?
It's by God mentioning in the Quran what he has done in history.
To the children of Israel, read the verse.
Yeah, because of that, we decreed upon the children of Israel. God can tell us
Where is that? Where's that found?
God is telling us in the Quran, this is what he has done.
But it's the children of Israel, right?
Yes, he said that.
So where in their source do you find that?
Okay, I'm going to answer.
Go ahead.
God doesn't need to say, when I created Adam, for example,
I need to get that thing that freaking Sig be using, the little boom, because that's exactly what they notice what they always do. When you kind of back them into a corner and you start to ask them like these epistemic questions about, okay, well, how are you going to be able to substantiate this outside of the Quran? How are you going to be able to substantiate the fact that Muhammad is pointing to these scriptures and from your understanding saying that they're corrupt, saying that they are not authentic, while at the same time not giving a replacement other than the Quran itself. So when we ask them this question, they then just say, oh, well, I don't have to show you that. I don't have to do this. I didn't ask if you had to do it. I'm asking, can you do it? And the answer is no. So let's kind of see where Sam goes with this. It's pretty interesting actually so far.
The way, let me give you the reference where I talked about creating Adam to different prophets. Isn't that?
That's not my argument.
I'm just giving an example. Yeah. He can simply say, God can declare to his prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the past I gave commands to the Israelites. That's what he's saying. This is what I commanded them.
And how do you confirm that he did?
I'm saying that, do you understand the Islamic dilemma?
You want to teach me it?
I know. I think you're the
no,
OG.
Don't attack.
You're the captain. You're the captain of the ship.
Don't attack Strawman. You're making my case without realizing it, because this assumes prior knowledge of the previous scriptures, so that the audience will know the detail by going to the Bible.
Or if they don't,
so then how can they confirm that?
It's not saying you have to confirm anything.
No, if I'm a Jew,
the Quran does say that. It says it all over the place. Like I don't know why they like to play like these dumb games. If you go here, let me pull this up. How am I going to do this? Sorry, let me stop sharing that screen and let me pull this up, because they like to do this, and I'm like, bro, like, yeah, let me do that. Let me share the audio. Yeah. So, it does confirm it. If you go here, so if you, Muhammad, are in doubt concerning that which we have revealed unto you, I mean, this is the classic verse, then ask those who are reading the book, Torah and the Injil before you, right? فَإِن كُنْتَ فِي شَكٍّ مِّمَّا أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ فَأَسْأَلِ الَّذِينَ يَقْرَؤُونَ الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ, right? لَقَدْ جَاءَكَ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكَ. All right, so like you have this verse right here where it's saying like, okay, like if you're in doubt, then you need to go ask those people about hikayat, about the stories, right? Or I mean, in this particular instance, it's going to be talking about one verse that the Muslims like to say about one story, hikayah, about the story about Musa. Okay, but I mean, if we start asking about that story and we go to the previous people and we go to the book that they had, okay, well, then if that's the case, what do you think it's going to say, right? Like, what do you think's going to happen? I think it's in Surah Al-Isra. Ayah 1, is it 102 or is it 101? Because this becomes an area of contention, right? Man, I hate Quran.com, bro. Like, this constantly happens. Like, you can never pull up a verse on this freaking website. It always does that, at least for my computer. I think it's Ayah 101. Yeah, it says, and indeed we gave Moses 9 clear signs. I mean, but the Jews and the Christians in the Bible itself records 10. So obviously in this particular case, if you ask a Muslim, okay, well, where do I need to go? Do I need to believe the Quran or do I believe the Bible? And they're obviously going to say the Quran, but that's just going to be circular. Because if the verse is telling you to go to the people who had these stories and they tell you something different, then when it's not convenient for you anymore, you're just not going to go to them. So it's just insanity. Let's see what else Sam has to say here.
I'm a Christian and I read that. Where am I going to go to confirm whether the Quran got it right?
You have just inserted so many ideas that
Can
are
I
not.
read Surah Al-Ma'idah 5:20-26?
Can you just take one second?
Yeah, but you made my point, but go ahead. You made my case.
What I'm saying is that nowhere in here does it say anything about the necessity to appeal to a certain group and then therefore getting
You're
reference.
attacking strawman again.
May I just finish?
No,
the
just,
sentence?
but I'm just trying. We have to interact. We're attacking
I know,
strawman.
but I'd like to
Can you
finish
still man my position?
I would like to finish my sentence.
Go ahead.
This is about the Islamic dilemma.
Yeah.
So that means there are Christian students of yours that really like you and appreciate you, how much hard work you've done with your I actually appreciate your smile. You have a very nice smile.
I don't
No,
know.
really,
You're
really,
kinda
no,
weird.
I want to make
Go
this
ahead.
more
I want you
positive.
because I don't want you to accuse me of cutting you off. But go ahead.
Thank you. No, I'm trying to make this. I really do want to make this a positive conversation.
I agree with you. Go ahead.
And all I'm trying to say is that if God declares to his prophet, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or any other prophet, and says, "This is what I've done in the past," there's no need. You're inserting this idea that, well, that implies.
Yeah, but according to who? Like, and this is the thing, like, these guys don't realize we don't believe in the Quran. So we don't believe that Muhammad is the last prophet, that he's the Khatam and Nabiyyin. We don't believe that. So you can't just insert, well, this is the case. And I know he's not saying, he said, if this is the case. Yeah, but you have yet to give an argument as to why that is the case when the Quran seems to be saying the complete opposite.
That he must have a reference, and if he doesn't have the reference, then there's a problem. And I'm just simply saying, or you could just take a plain reading of the text, and God's saying, "This is what I've done in the past."
Don't repeat my point again.
I mean, but if we take a plain reading of the text, then it cuts you. Because if you're supposed to ask those people who had the book before you, all we have to do is figure out what book they had. It's what we have today. Now, if they're going to say, oh, well, the book you have today is not the book they had back then, prove it. Prove it. And then especially within the context of 1094. Prove it. Because what that means is you can quote a verse, and from the verse you can quote it and you can say, oh, well, this has to be a corruption because of, X, Y, and Z or whatever. Okay, fine. Like, you can say that, but you still have yet to provide the original. And this is the thing that gets really like frustrating with talking with these guys. You want to say that the Bible is corrupt, and then you want to point to supposed contradictory verses, or you want to point to variants and all kind of stuff. But then when we ask you, okay, fine, suppose I grant for the sake of your argument that the Bible is corrupt beyond repair or something like that. Okay, well, do you have the original? And then they're going to say, well, we don't need the original. Well, I mean, I never asked if it's something that we quote unquote need in the aspect of, oh, well, I just want to read. No. Can you provide it? Is that something that's possible? Because if you can't provide it, then it's just going to be my word against yours in this particular situation. Or we're going to look at we call it preponderance of evidence. We're going to look at something that's beyond the shadow of a doubt where this particular situation is concerned. And this is what we always run into with these guys. Just trust me, bro.
You can repeat it.
Okay, because you just confirmed my point again. Sure. Okay, let me repeat it again. Hopefully we can stay on topic. You can steel man me. I'm not saying that the Quran has to tell you where it's at. What I'm saying is the Quran already assumes this information is known and you have access to it. Hence, the Quran presupposes the Bible.
Exactly.
Can I respond?
No, I didn't. I'm giving like 2-second responses. Okay, now can you steal my response? What?
No. I actually plan on asking a question.
Yes.
Why does it have to? Oh man, I wish you didn't. Can you just say that last question again? Can you repeat that?
When the Quran mentions these stories, without going into detail, it's because the Quran already assumes prior knowledge of this information that people had access to. So the question is, where do they find that information? In the Bible.
Great.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, I think that the Quran refers to, I think it says that, let me see. There's the Quran reference, Adam's wife. I think it does. Or it mentions something to the effect of like Adam had a mate. What is that? Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 35. I think that's what it's saying. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 35. Let me go to it. Ayah 35. Sorry guys, this website, dude, I really do hate it. I'm not even lying to you. I freaking hate Quran.com. And we said, oh Adam, dwell you and your wife in the paradise, and eat both of you freely with pleasure and delight of things therein as wherever you will, but come not near this tree, or you will both be the zalimun, the wrongdoers. Okay, well, then the question becomes, who's Adam's wife? Now, the Muslims are going to say, oh, that's not important. But if you're talking to people who already have these scriptures, like in this same chapter, right? I think it's 289. Yeah, and when there came to them, the Jews, a book, it says this Quran from Allah confirming what is with them, right? وَلِمَّا جَاءَهُمْ كِتَابٌ مِّنْ عِندِ اللَّهِ مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَهُمْ. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it says that confirming what is with them, right? So if you're going to be talking about a story like Adam and his wife, and then just a few verses later, it says that the book, that the Quran that Muhammad is reading from, or that the revelation that Muhammad is getting, the recitation or whatever, is supposed to be confirming that book that talks about Adam and his wife. It already assumes that because it's confirming that book, that it knows that the people who are listening know who Adam's wife is. So it's not necessarily a, oh, well, do I need to do this? It's, can you do it for the sake of continuity? Because when we go in that book, when we go in Genesis and we read the account, and we read it, and it says, like, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the water. Well, I mean, Muslims are not going to say, oh, well, yes, Allah has a spirit. They're going to say that the spirit of Allah is Gibra'il. But the Bible, I mean, it says that Gibra'il is an angel or an archangel, from my understanding. But it doesn't say that it is the Ruh al-Qudus, right? So, and then in that same instance, it says, let us make man in our image. Now, obviously, there are hadith that talk about, Allah, that people being made in Allah's image and things like that. But it says, but the way that the hadith describe it, it means like a literal image, because it says in those same hadith, it says, like, do not, hurt the person's face because they are made in the image of Allah, or something like that. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that hadith so you guys don't think that I'm for they are made in the image of Allah. I believe it's on sunnah.com. Yeah. So here it is right here. Let me just move this over, actually, so you guys can see this. Yeah. Sahih Muslim 2612E, right? This hadith has been transmitted on the authority of Abu Huraira, and the hadith transmitted on the authority of Ibn Hatim, Allah's apostle, is reported to have said, when any of you fights with his brother, he should avoid his face, for Allah created Adam in his own image. I mean, like, that's not the exact same way that Genesis 1 is referring to it. So it's like, the Quran seems to have knowledge of the previous scriptures, like what Sam Shamoun is saying, but it has it in such a way to where it uses generic phrases. It half tells a story specifically because of the people that the Quran is interacting with, the Jews and the Christians. They would have already understood these stories. So then what do you do when you come across an ayah that seems to contradict the previous stories? And you know what the Muslims say? The Muslims say, well, if that's the case, then we just go with the Quran. Khalas. Okay, so when you reach something like this, and we gave Moses 9 signs, and in the Bible it's 10, then we just go with the Quran. Okay, but why? Do we have any manuscripts that say 10? I mean 9? We don't. Yeah. Even if we were to find just one random manuscript that said 9, right? Because I'm always thinking of ways to kind of even just like parse some of this stuff out if I was a Muslim. Let's say that I find some fringe manuscript that said 9, right? From the same time as the Dead Sea Scrolls and all this other stuff. I mean, that's going to go completely against the rest of the manuscripts that we have. I mean, we got like tens of thousands of manuscripts, right? So we're just going to go with the one. I mean, if that's the case, then we might as well just go with the Quran, because the Quran would be one manuscript that says the opposite, right? So, you know, it's just interesting, man.
Now, let's say God is speaking to, you're right, there's a Christian audience, a Jewish audience, but there's also a pagan audience.
Sure.
They don't need any references. They can just see that God is revealing and telling his messenger.
No, they would too. They would. Okay,
let me say, there's nothing wrong with God saying, this is what I've declared in the past to the Israelites. If a completely ignorant pagan audience hears that, they don't need to insert everything you're just saying. All they have to do is say, okay, so God is declaring that this is what happened in the past. That's fair.
Can I respond to that?
Of course, please.
For a pagan to know that Muhammad is not making it up about the tales of the Jews and Christians, who do they go to confirm whether Muhammad got it right?
I mean, like, think about that right now, right? I mean, imagine today we have like, I don't know. Like, I mean, imagine today we have like atheists, right? Like we're talking to atheists, and it's a Christian, an atheist, and a Muslim, right? And we start talking about this particular. I keep using this as an example because it's a good one, but we keep talking about this particular example about Moses, right, and the flood or whatever, or the signs that were given to Moses, and the atheist then says, I mean, the Muslim says, okay, well, you know, I mean, I guess if you want to know, then you have to go talk to the people before, right? And then the Muslim is, I mean, the atheist is going to say, okay, well, I guess that's the Jews and the Christians, right? I mean, how insane would it be for the Muslim then to be like, no, it's not them. Okay, well, then who are the people from before? And then they say, well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of them, but their scriptures are corrupted. Okay, so how am I supposed to follow this verse? That makes no sense. So even for people who are not of the book, if it was for them to figure this out, if they're just reading it blindly, they're going to go to the exact same people from before as well. So it's just, it's really interesting. We'll take a little bit longer on this, and then we're going to jump over to Jim Bob and take a look at some atheist stuff, because that's going to be pretty interesting. Let me go ahead and put this back on the screen. You guys like that icon I got back there, man? Of it's called Jesus. It's called Christ the Avenger. Amazing stuff, bro. Absolutely amazing stuff. Make sure that you guys like the live. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Again, if you guys want to, if there's any Christians that want to come up and ask questions, they can do so. Hit the link at the top. Oh, sorry. I gotta figure out how to fix this thing with my camera. Make sure that you guys hit the link at the top to join in via X, and you can do that way. Or if you're an atheist, if you're a Muslim, whatever, you can join over there that way as well. All right, so let's go ahead and listen back to this again.
Okay, that in here, there's no mention of confirmation. Would you like to go to some other verse?
That's not what I'm. No. Let me repeat my question again.
So, I can respond to it. I understand your question. You're saying that when God makes this declaration,
and the pagans hear it, right?
The pagans are
about
hearing
the Jews and Christians, right?
At no point in this verse does he ever say, "Hey, pagans, make sure you
still my argument because you keep misrepresenting it." Repeat my argument. I want to hear if you get it because you keep a.
Yeah, you're asking the question. I think you're asking. Maybe I'm not going to do a good job. I'll be honest.
Okay.
Maybe what you're saying is, I think what you're saying is that when they read this, and their goal is to look into history, right? Then who are they going to go to, right? But
they want to know that Muhammad is not making it up,
right?
Yeah. So who do they go to?
In here, in this particular verse, I'm just
generally anytime the Quran, because I got dozens.
You never answer the question.
Anytime the Quran mentions the history of the Jews and Christians, how are they going to know Muhammad is right?
Great question.
Yes, we'll answer.
An individual can absolutely get up and say, "Let me go around the world and see what different people have said." You know, they could say, "Let's learn about Gilgamesh and how there's a flood story there." Anybody can do that. The Quran is not prompting any of this here. Now, show me where the Quran is prompting that, and I'll do it.
We're going to keep spinning.
Bro, what the freak, bro? Like, this is what I'm talking about, dude. It is just, it's so weird how they do this. Like, bro, it's in the Quran. Like, it's right there. Like, let's just go to the verse. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand it. It is the weirdest thing to me, bro. Let's go to 10. Let's go back to 94. I mean, like, it's right there. So if you and then they put, oh, Muhammad. It's not in the Arabic, but okay, fine. But if you, Muhammad, are in doubt concerning that which we have revealed unto you, that is, i.e., I'm assuming they're getting this from the Tafsir, that your name is written in the Torah or on the Injil, then ask those who are reading the book before you. And it says the Torah and the Injil. Who are those people? Like, bro, it's just absolutely crazy, bro. Like, I don't know, but that's enough.